When you think of Wuthering Waves, you probably think of one thing: anime women. But that's probably not all. In fact, there's a lot of really great things going on, from the gorgeous cutscenes you might confuse with actually being an anime, to the striking visuals of different locations, and who could forget the not quite so simple, but still rather simple combat. But what if I told you there's one thing that's so unforgivable, it almost makes me want to stop playing? That's right, I am doing this for dramatic effect. I wouldn't stop playing, but I would go outside and touch more grass.
Leave me alone!
It's the ecosystem. And I'm not just talking about the tuning system. My unpopular opinion is I don't mind the tuning system. But before we get into that, I want to give a huge shout out to you, the viewer. That's right. Thanks for hitting that subscribe button just now, right this very second. Now, when I think about echoes, or in more universal Hoyo pill terms, artifacts, I think of substats. But not one game that I'm aware of does this one thing I believe would make the biggest change. Seeing the substat you're about to unlock. Look at this piece right here. It's exactly what I need for... But here comes the hard part. I don't know whether this is worth investing in. And let me tell you something. Out of all the great things Wuthering Waves does, being easy to farm and grinding is not one of them. Meaning, it's even more of a gamble than before for substats I'm not even guaranteed to get. So here's how I change it. You level up the relic to the desired breakpoint, head on over to the tuning page, and instead of this green writing, you see exactly what you'll get from spending the most pointless, I guess for lack of better terms, resource in the game. You could even take this one step further and say use an excess amount of tuning to select which substat you'd want. Now this would have to be a huge amount, but it feels like this resource is super easy to get. I don't believe this change would ever happen because it takes away from the main thing Kuro Games wants. You playing the game. If you aren't grinding and farming for hours, then you aren't playing, and thus the engagement goes down, and more importantly, the temptation to spend money goes down. Remember, these companies are not your friends. They want one thing, first and foremost, you to spend money. It just helps Kuro Games seem to understand you're more inclined to spend money when you feel like you're being heard, and they make the improvements players need. Imagine that. There's also the way more simpler, and I'm sure the way more popular option, of just outright removing tuning altogether. I am not the biggest fan of this, and I'll tell you exactly why. It's unique. I don't know another game that does this, and, for better or worse, it gets people talking about WuWa. There's no way it can be that bad, and a curious enough itch that needs scratching, and bam, someone new has made an account to see what is so bad in a game everyone claims is the best gacha on the market. And yes, I can glaze more, but this isn't a barbecue.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I'd like to see changes to the data merge. As it stands, there is zero benefit to even looking at it. It auto-selects 5 random echoes to give me 1 random echo that is either not of the set I require, or not the needed main stat. What I would deem a great change to this is, once again, using the surplus of tuning material to allow us to pick the main stat. Just like how modifiers allow us to alter main stats, but only after the fact. Or, to be even more precise with merging, let us use modifiers to pre-select what main stat we want. And this could even apply to the batch merge, which, you may have guessed, is taking even more echoes and throwing them away for no reason other than to clear up space. Now, arguably the most frustrating thing about leveling up echoes is I can't use base level 0 echoes that have no value to any character I have. All I can do is let them sit there and gather dust on the shelf. You might not think it's an issue, but we have to use XP materials to level up echoes to then use the echoes to level up other echoes. It doesn't make sense. I know people are sick of the comparisons, but this time I think it's justified. It's a roundabout way to do something that not even Hoyoverse do. That is how you know it's beyond stupid to, for lack of better term, gatekeep something so simple. Hoyo don't do it. In fact, that's the only argument I'm making about it. For a game and company who seem to be going from strength to strength, they have some glaring problems that would be nice if they were addressed. At least in my opinion. I know, that's a controversial thing to have on the internet, but fuck it. It's my video, so I'ma say what I want. And another quick side note, why is there no dedicated Echo XP farm? I'll admit, it's nice to be able to get our artifacts, or whatever you want to call them, and the materials to level them up. But when a majority of the echoes you get are worthless and you can't use them as level up materials, hello? Am I missing something here? Sure, it's not necessary to fix the game, but options are nice to have, aren't they? Look, I don't want to ramble too long. At the end of the day, this is a casual game. However, more and more, with each patch or update, it's starting to feel like Wuthering Waves is becoming so much more than a gacha game. But it is, and they want you to keep playing the game for longer hours than you should be. However, they don't need to worry. People will play the game even if there wasn't this unspoken feeling of needing to grind. The grind will always happen. The least they could do is make it less of a chore to do so. It really does need to change. Look, at the end of the day, these are my thoughts and opinions. You don't need to agree with it. You can critique, disagree, call me an idiot. You probably already have. Just enjoy the game, because this truly does feel like a great game. Anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and like always, stay refreshing.